Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Weekly Reads, where we give you 5 book recommendations all in one show. My name is Devon. I'm a librarian at the Worcester Public Library. Just like my co-host, Joy. Ready to talk books, Joy?
When am I not ready to talk about books?
Ooh, good question.
Anytime, day or night.
Okay, well, everything we're talking about today, you can get online through the Overdrive or Libby app with your phone or device. You can also use Overdrive on your browser, on your laptop or desktop. And don't forget, we're doing physical pickup of items as well. If you're not sure how to do any of those, just put a comment below and we'll see what we can do for you. So now I'm going to switch screens so you can see what we have in store for you this week. As usual, I'll be doing fiction, Joy will do nonfiction, and we have our coming soon title. For my first book, I have one from 2010, A Visit from the Goon Squad by Jennifer Egan. It's called a sly, startling, and exhilarating work. As you can see, this book was a winner of the Pulitzer Prize and a National Book Critics Circle Award winner. It was also a Best Book of the Year, according to NPR, the Oprah Magazine, People, Publishers Weekly, Time, The Washington Post, The Village Voice, and a bunch more. Egan's narratives circle the lives of Benny, an aging punk rocker and record executive, and Sasha, the troubled young woman he employs. Although Benny and Sasha never know each other's pasts, the reader does, along with the lives of other characters whose paths connect with theirs. We first meet Sasha on her therapist's couch, confronting her compulsion to steal. Later, we see her as the child of a violent marriage, then as a runaway, and then as a college student. We plunge into the disappointments of her uncle, an art historian stuck in a dead marriage. We meet Benny at a low point in his life, divorced, trying to connect with his son, listening to a washed-up band in a basement. And then we see him in his youth, reveling in San Francisco's punk scene and discovering his love for rock and roll. We learn what became of his high school friends, and we meet Lou, Benny's mentor, along with the lovers and children left behind from Lou's conquests. This is a book about survival and about the interplay of time and music. With various styles and tones ranging from tragedy to satire to PowerPoint, Egan captures the undertow of self-destruction that we all either master or succumb to. This book also got starred reviews from Kirkus, Publishers Weekly, and Booklist. The Chicago Tribune said, "The book has characters that you come to care for as you watch them doing things they shouldn't, acting gloriously human." So as you may know, I love character development, and just the range of characters and the cast of characters involved in this book sound really fascinating. The image on the right is one I found online. Someone took the time to map all these major characters and how they know each other and are connected. So if you like books with a lot of well-developed characters, this definitely sounds like a good choice. And here's one from Joy.
I love that book and will really look forward to reading it again. I love the time jumps. I love the complexity of the relationships among the characters. It really is good, and I really do want to read it again.
Well, if you want to read it again, I take that as a super high recommendation.
I would strongly suggest that you read it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start with a poem. Edmund Clarihue Bentley, a British author of crime novels who lived from 1875 to 1956, wrote these lines. It is said, while in a chemistry class, Sir Humphrey Davy abominated gravy. He lived in odium of having discovered sodium. This is an example of a verse type called the Clarihue, which consists of 2 rhymed couplets in which the subject name makes one of the rhymes. Now, just so you know, Sir Humphrey Davy really did identify first, he was the first to identify sodium as an element, but we have no idea if he actually abominated gravy. This is just one delicious granule of many taken from my first choice for this week, Salt, A World History by Jack Kurlansky. This begs the question, is a 400-page book on such an innocuous subject worth reading? Well, in a word, yes. Now, I know that when most of us ponder salt, and we mostly don't, we picture a white substance that sits in a shaker on the kitchen table next to its spicier cousin, pepper, and is, or at least should be, used sparingly. This book tells us something else. It is a veritable salt shaker full of entertainment and information. Just open the book and give it a shake and let it pour. Author Kurlansky treats the reader to a whirlwind tour across time and space as he explores the history and lore of humble sodium. He cites the many uses of salt in ritual and magic and admits the importance of salt as a flavor awakener. The beautiful salt cellars that grace the tables of Renaissance nobility attest to just how precious it is and was. However, Kurlansky stresses that for most of human history, salt's primary value has been as a preservative against decay. The Egyptians used it as part of the mummification process. The Romans to make a very smelly, wildly popular fish sauce called garum, which has not survived, and the Chinese to make soy sauce, which has. Northern Europeans salted herring and cod for a voracious market, fueled by centuries of meatless Fridays. And a host of other products, among them ham, sausage, cheese, vegetables, and even ketchup, were salted, brined, smoked, and pickled through the transformative power of salt. By the way, did you know that ketchup was originally made from anchovies, not tomatoes?
Gross.
Who knew? Salt mitigated the effects of famine and, for better or worse, fed vast and hungry armies on the march. No wonder the late Anthony Bourdain recommended Kurlansky's book as essential for cooks and foodies. Wars have been fought over salt, treaties negotiated, and taxes levied. Gandhi made the elimination of the British monopoly on the sale of salt one of his first steps in the movement to free India from British rule. Hundreds, if not thousands, of non-edible products, notably gunpowder, incorporate salt. Kurlansky describes the myriad places and processes by which salt has been mined and manufactured for millennia. From the hellish sinking, not stinking, salt towns of northern England, to the skilled independent sea salt makers of the Bahamas, to the magical Polish caverns where tourists from all over the world come to marvel at religious figures carved from pure white salt. And then there are the mechanized factories where this is produced. Just think if you, just imagine this product and see if you can recognize it, okay? A girl, salt, an umbrella, and rain. Familiar? It should be. Studies show that Morton salt is one of the most recognizable products in the world.
Wow, salt is sort of an innocuous item. I didn't realize it was so important in history.
Oh, yes, it is.
Wow. All right, well, here's my next fiction choice. Someone Who Will Love You in All Your Damaged Glory. This is this collection of short stories. It came out in 2019, and it's by the writer Raphael Bob Waksberg, who is also the creator of the TV series BoJack Horseman. which is why I included a still from that show. That's BoJack Horseman right there on the phone. This was one of NPR's favorite books of the year for 2019, and it's been called a fabulously offbeat collection of stories about love. Sorry, Joy. So the book is written with scathing humor, and the stories will make you laugh, weep, and shiver with recognition. In A Most Blessed and Auspicious Occasion, a young couple engaged to be married is forced to deal with interfering relatives. Missed Connection, Man for Woman, is the tragicomic tale of a pair of commuters eternally failing to make contact. And in More of the You That You Already Are, an employee at a theme park of dead presidents finds that love can't be genetically modified. Equally at home with the surreal and the painfully relatable, and both at once, the author delivers a killer combination of humor, romance, whimsy, cultural commentary, and crushing vulnerability. This book got a starred review from Shelf Awareness, which I don't usually see, so I thought it was worth noting. The Washington Post said, the author manages to balance ironic humor with a sincerity that continues to surprise and delight. These stories do things that good art does. Make your heart clench with feeling, your eyes filled with tears, your lips move toward a smile, or all three at once. So this sounds like a really funny, but at the same time touching collection of short stories, and they all sound very unusual, sort of like BoJack Horseman. So if you're interested, we have this in print and as an ebook. Here's one from Joy.
My next choice is the Book of Atlantis Black by Betsy Bonner. In 1994, 17-year-old Eunice Ann Bonner went to court to change her name to Atlantis Black, an appropriate name, says her younger sibling, Betsy, for her big sister, who, like the Atlantis of legend, was mystical, self-destroying, and forever lost. Atlantis Black went on to achieve a measure of success as a musician, writing and performing her own material in small venues in New York City and opening for several better-known bands in other cities. Betsy could not help but be proud and hopeful. Then, in 2008, Atlantis was accused of committing prescription drug fraud and, rather than risk conviction and imprisonment, went on the run. A few months later, a body identified as that of Atlantis Black was discovered in a tawdry hotel room in Tijuana. The cause of death? Overdose. Case closed. Well, not if little sister Betsy has anything to say about it. Betsy and Atlantis grew up together in a middle-class home in Chadsford, Pennsylvania. Their parents were smart, creative, and musically inclined, and they passed these gifts down to their daughters. The girl's mother, however, suffered from severe bipolar disorder, and their father, a strict conservative Catholic, resorted to the kind of physical punishment that can best be described as abuse, in a vain attempt to control the behavior of his defiant older daughter. In addition, Atlantis had been sexually molested by a neighbor as a child, and by the time she entered young adulthood, she had already been prescribed medications designed to treat clinical depression. So is it any wonder that her life ended under tragic circumstances at the age of 31? Maybe not, but from the get-go, Sister Betsy had her doubts. She began to piece together Atlantis's movements over the course of her last year, using the often enigmatic fragments she had left behind. Email, Facebook posts, a video interview, footage from a surveillance camera, Craigslist ads, police reports, and other detritus. And the more she looked, the more questions she had. Who were all these Insta friends and hangers-on who littered Atlantis's social media? Who were these shady older men who answered her Craigslist ads and gave her shelter. Did the camera really show Atlantis attempting to fraudulently obtain prescription drugs, or did the image capture someone else, someone for whom Atlantis might have been covering? How carefully did the Mexican police actually investigate the scene? Did Atlantis really die of an overdose? And if so, was it accidental, suicide, or even murder? Wilder yet, was the body in that hotel room really that of Atlantis Black, or did she, as she had often claimed she might do, simply vanish, leaving the body of some nameless stranger behind? If by now you feel that you might have fallen into the plot of some old noir movie, you may not be the only one. And if by now you suspect that Betsy Bonner might be a bit obsessed, maybe even a little crazed by grief, you may not be alone in that either. She herself allows for that possibility. The takeaway from the book of Atlantis Black may just be that sometimes in the face of intolerable loss, it is easier to grasp for answers, any answers, rather than accept the possibility that we may never fully resolve some of the questions that we have, even those questions that pertain to the ones we love the most.
Wow, that really does sound almost like a mystery novel, but you can tell they had a really hard life.
They did, and Betsy Bonner just kind of does go off the rails a little bit, but I think that is the point.
Yeah. All right, well, now it's time for our coming soon title, but before I switch slides, I would like to remind folks to give us some likes and loves if you enjoy our show, and feel free to share this with your friends who are looking for book suggestions. All right, and for our coming soon title, Joy will be taking over this week.
This is my first coming soon title, so be nice to me and be patient.
Of course.
Okay, so my choice for this week for coming soon is The Rise, Black Cooks and the Soul of American Food by Marcus Samuelsson, Food Network star, and an Ethiopian Swede upon whom I confess, a long-term crush.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, it's out. Here are some of the reviews. The Rise is an invigorating, joyous, deeply nuanced illustration of the complexity of Black foodways, one that weaves together conversations about history, artistry, authorship, race, class, and culture with 150 recipes that incorporate ingredients and techniques from around the globe. That's from Rebecca Flint Marks at Eater. And here is one from The Kitchen. This book is a celebration of Black excellence in cooking, something that is always important and feels essential for 2020. And those are just a few. Excited? I am. Just look at that recipe. What is it? Leftover wine. We were saying that might be impossible, leftover wine. But if you happen to have leftover wine, that looks like a great way to use it.
It really does. And the 3 bottom pictures on the book cover, everything there just looks delicious.
They sure do. So Marcus, I'm coming for you.
All right, well, that wraps up our episode for this week. Don't forget that if you're looking for a book recommendation or a read-alike for your favorite author, you can just put that down in the comments below and Joy and I will respond. Otherwise, we hope to see you later.
See you later, fellow readers. Whoops, let me show you something. There she is, Miss Salt, Martin Salt. Yay, Salt.
All right, Salt.
See you later.
See you next time.